Okay, so apparently we're just doing world overviews at this point. I've done Greenhorn, Realm of the Fae, Powdered Peaks, The Skyscraper, and to an extent Carcaton because of how much I've talked about it. Pokebro 60 did Nimbus, and I think that is it. So let's do one of the actually last noteworthy worlds that deserve their own video. So Neksdor is the second world of Miitopia, placed between Greenhorn and Realm of the Fae. It is very commonly regarded as the worst world of the first half of the game, and I do not know how to feel about that. The bosses are in general better than those of Greenhorn, but none of them really hit the highs of Greenhorn, with one true exception. This world is very different compared to Greenhorn or Realm of the Fae when it comes to the categories I usually talk about in these, so let's just get started and you'll see. I'll do this one a little differently than usual, and just do a different order of categories than compared to my Greenhorn and Realm of the Fae analysis. So, Neksdor's visuals are fine. It's definitely one of the most generic areas of the game, but the cave and wetland way look really good, and it's overall good enough to the point where it's entirely negligible and does not affect the world at all. The bosses are really good this time around. Every boss here is extremely solid. There actually just is no bad boss here, although some of them are not really that original. There are two paintings, first of all, both are basically just the same boss, so that's kind of odd. The Cobra is just a more powerful regular enemy, but that is something Miitopia is very guilty of doing. Magma Slime, Pain Cloud, Butterfly, and Witch Slime are just a couple examples from just the first half alone, so this doesn't necessarily hurt Neksdor either. The others are really neat ideas. The Minotaur is admittedly the least interesting example, and it's just a different version of the Greenhorn General, but it is the very first boss of the world and admittedly a really good one, so I'll let it slide. The Sword and Shield are absolutely amazing idea, and the fact that it's a father and daughter makes it so much better. This easily is one of the most creative and amazing fights in the game. The Pharaoh is also a really cool idea, and the curse is almost fully unique to only it, with only two other enemies having it as far as I'm aware. One of them is the Pharaoh from the Haunted Manor in Peculia, and the other is the Pharaoh from the Tower of Despair, like the ones that are, there's four of them. Either way, the first is very rare and the other is a Tower of Despair exclusive boss, which makes the Neksdor Pharaoh a unique and unforgettable boss, which is something that I heavily praised Greenhorn for having in the form of the General and Griffin, so Neksdor having this too is a rather meaty point to Neksdor. And that's basically all the bosses. They're really good and two of them are some of the best in the game. Neksdor music is good. The battle theme and map overworld are the biggest standouts and carry this world's music by an insane amount, but outside of that it is very forgettable. Still good overall because of the absolutely amazing battle and overworld tracks. The plot is not good. This is the last aspect I usually talk about in my world reviews, and usually it's pretty solid. This is not that. It is painfully nothing. Like, it is literally just nothing. Great Sage gives you plot insight, Prince releases Genie, you get gold, face erase, you get faces back, Genie lets you leave, done. There is nothing here. The Great Sage serves absolutely no purpose and only exists for two relevant pieces of plot insight she gives you at entirely random times, it seems. The Genie is pretty cool, but the entire rest of the town is mediocre and there's nobody else of note. At least Greenhorn has the royal family, who was pretty interesting, and ROTF had the Fab Fairies, who were neat, but this world has nothing. The Dark Lord basically has no presence here except for like 2 short cutscenes, which he only appears in one of them. It's easily the most boring and nothing plot of the first half. And that's really all. If you were to play Miitopia one time through and not really again, Neksdor doesn't leave a good lasting mark and can just be classified as the boring middle chunk of the first half. But if you're like me and have beaten Miitopia 11 times over, yes really, you will know that Neksdor is surprisingly really good on replays. And I feel like that's because of 3 things. One is the uninteresting and plot-based worlds around it. Greenhorn and RTF are extremely good the first time around, but after that, because you already know the plot, it just becomes uninteresting for Greenhorn and too easy in the case of Realm of the Fae. Neksdor is not like that. The elevated difficulty of it when compared to the world surrounding it makes it a breath of fresh air and also does not bore the player with plot since it's short and basically non-existent. In a way, Neksdor having a bad plot is kind of a double-edged sword, because this makes the world uninteresting the first time around but good on replays, while for worlds like Greenhorn and ROTF, this is the exact opposite. I also feel like this is a reason New Lumos is so liked. It's difficult, has really good visuals, and it has no plot. The second rule would be the job diversity. The jobs offered by Neksdor are really good. Cat and Scientist are some of my favorite jobs in the game, and I know Imp is a lot of people's favorites, it's just not mine. Comparing the lineup to ROTF's, it's pretty obvious who wins. Tank and Flowers suck ass, and Princess, while really good, depends on the player and generally works much better as a teammate job than your main Mii's job. And the last reason would be that it's short. This works together with Neksdor difficulty and makes it a lot better and more fun for more experienced players going through it a second time or an 11th time. With a still amazing boss lineup to go with. And that's basically it. In conclusion, Neksdor is really good on replays, but falls a bit flat the first time around. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.